That's where I saw the leprechaun.
Right, a leprechaun.
He told me to burn things.
Uh-huh.
Oh lord, Ryan figured out he can add Simpsons clips to the show. Well, get used to that, I guess. Hope you like Ralph. Anywho, spoiler warning for all things Firestarter. And mature content warning, this episode the guys discuss pedophiles and sexual assault. Gross.
Welcome to episode 20 of the Horror of Babylon, where we are discussing Firestarter 2 Rekindled. I am Ryan, and with me as always is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to talk about this thing.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited to talk about Firestarter 2.
Okay, so just a little bit of background. I couldn't actually find much on the production of this, which, I'm not terribly surprised about. But it was produced in 2002 by the Sci-Fi Channel. It's a Sci-Fi Channel original. It was filmed in Utah, takes place in Colorado. I could not find the budget. I tried to find what the budget was, can't find it.
Whatever it was too much.
Or it was too little. There's not really, I couldn't find any real critical reviews or any YouTube videos talking about the production of this thing. Any content that is out there about this is basically just talking about
how shitty it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Much like the Mist TV show.
Yeah.
So it was directed by Robert Iskov, which he did the She's All That from 1999, which was that romantic comedy with Freddie Prinze Jr. He did the Dark Angel TV movie. He did the TV pilot for the Flash 1990 series.
That is a great show.
And it was written by Philip Eisner, who did the film Sweet Girl that has Jason Momoa, and Mutant Chronicles, which has Ron Perlman in it.
Okay.
So jumping right into structure and themes, I feel like the first thing you really have to talk about is the retconning it does right at the beginning of the movie.
I feel this movie should have just called itself Firestarter Rekindled, because Firestarter 2 implies continuity.
So this is one thing I was actually able to find.
Okay.
When it was released on Sci-Fi, it was Firestarter Rekindled. If you see
that would have been so much better.
If you see the poster here,
okay.
There's no 2. The 2 was added for the DVD release.
Whoever's idea that was, I hate them.
Well, you can see a producer saying we just need to do that so we can sell more DVDs.
So we can try to make some of this money back.
Yeah. So, but obviously the Sci-Fi Channel didn't have the rights to the movie. They couldn't use clips from the movie for the flashbacks. They had to reshoot that stuff. I think if I personally would have been in charge, I would have written around it as if it could have been a sequel to the movie.
I would have written around it, and I wouldn't have done flashbacks. I would have just assumed that if you're seeing this movie, you're familiar with Firestarter.
Yeah, and there could have been an exposition piece when she's, meeting Vincent and explaining what's going on. But there is some retcon in this movie that I feel works, but we'll get to that when we talk about characters. But I did just want to throw out those initial scenes in the beginning were really awkward, and just kind of starts the series with a bad taste. For me, it kind of a bad taste.
It immediately set my mood.
Yeah.
There's a couple things that put my mood a little back and forth, but we'll get to that.
I'll go ahead and say I don't hate this. I think there's a lot of good, and I think there's a lot of bad. It's kind of a mixed bag. Kind of similar to the Stand miniseries. Which, isn't great. I think maybe I even like this a little better, but... Alright, we'll get there.
I guess this isn't Phantoms. Which is
It is. I will rank this higher than Phantoms.
I will rank this higher than Phantoms.
Okay, so what themes from the book and the original film do you think were best carried over into this miniseries?
I was gonna say hormone allegory, but they kind of just go balls to the walls with it.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Charlie is so horny.
They make the puberty allegory a little bit more explicit. She's getting all hot and bothered. Government overreach is still in here.
Yep.
Human experimentation, that sort of stuff.
Although the shop, so one, they never call them the shop,
Mm-hmm.
and two, they're not a government agency. They're a private company.
I almost feel like I would have liked this movie better if it would have just called itself X-Men.
There are a lot of X-Men comparisons. So yeah. Let's just go ahead and jump into characters. So first we got Charlie McGee, the Firestarter, of course, played by Marguerite Moreau, who I love from Wet Hot American Summer. Probably my favorite comedy.
What was that title again?
Wet Hot American Summer.
Okay.
It's a teen sex movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I never do much research for these. That's more of a Ryan thing. But hearing that title, because when I saw this movie, when I saw all of Charlie's scenes, I was like, I wonder if this girl's done any porn. It was the first thought in my head.
I don't know. Maybe
But if she's done a teen sex comedy, that almost translates for me.
That movie, that was her first movie she did right out of film school, and it was a super low budget movie. It's a cult comedy classic. Let me see if she's ever done porn. Let's just Google it. Did Margaret Moreau ever do porn?
I love the level of research we are willing to go to. It does not look like she seemed like she could act getting really into it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She conveyed a woman who really just wants to be fucked in a parking lot right this second very well.
Yeah. I mean, it never says that Charlie's a virgin.
Yeah.
But you gotta imagine she probably is.
If she sets something on fire every time she gets hot and bothered, probably.
It really reminded me of that scene from the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk, where him and Liv Tyler are trying to have sex, and he's just, I just can't.
And that's the thing. It's me saying that, people are probably going, oh, that doesn't sound that hard. You know what? You try to act like a horny woman in a parking lot. It's not that easy.
No, I like her. I think she did a good job. I thought this was a logical conclusion of how Charlie would grow up. If you assume that going to the press, like she tried to do at the end of the book and the end of the movie, if you assume that went badly...
And I assume that because she went to the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. And she's kind of been on the run, on her own, her whole life. This is the kind of life she's led. Then I thought this was a great portrayal of what Charlie would be, somebody who doesn't trust people, who has trouble getting intimate, but at the same time...
It's fucking corny.
Yearns for a relationship
yeah.
and sex. I thought she did a good job.
I will say that I think she did a good job with the material she had to work with.
Yeah, and the problems...
This movie has Matthew McDowell. There's good actors in this movie.
Yeah, the cast isn't the issue. There are issues with the script, and then obviously they had budgetary restrictions.
Yeah.
It's also a Sci-Fi Channel original miniseries from 2002.
Those are always great.
Yeah.
We should turn this into a sci-fi original podcast.
No. So our next character is a new character who is not in the book or the movie. Vincent Forza, played by Danny Nucci, who I've seen this twice now, and both times it's I swear to God, I have seen him in something. And both times I look at his IMDb page, and I'm I've seen this guy in nothing. But he just has this face where I swear to God I've seen him in something. Okay, he was in Titanic, but...
He looks a lot more mature in his IMDb picture.
Well, yeah, I mean, because thing was made 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is a recent
Probably
picture.
a more recent picture. When I was watching this movie, I was like, they should have replaced this guy with the American Pie kid.
Which American Pie kid?
That's the main character.
Oh, Jim?
Yeah, they should.
Jim?
Jim should have been Vincent. That's how I kept picturing the whole movie, dude. I'm sitting there going, I feel like this guy's trying to be Jim. I wish this was Jim.
Or if they replaced him with Stifler.
I'd rather it be Jim awkwardly trying to get in Charlie's pants the entire movie.
Or Finch.
Yeah.
Or any of them, really. No, I thought he was fine, but he's definitely, like, of the main characters, he's the least.
He's no Jim.
He's no Jim. Yeah, okay. Jim's like, I'm sorry, Nadia. I can't go with you on this trip. I have to chase after Charlie. Oh, Jim.
Gee.
Okay, so I think let's just talk about Rainbird, played by Malcolm McDowell, who is a great character actor. I primarily identify him with the villain from Star Trek Generations.
He's the dude in Clockwork Orange, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm usually picturing him as.
So he plays John Rainbird.
He is the whitest Indian.
So there's a lot to talk about. Let's start with that. They make him white instead of Indian, which I have mixed feelings about. Because one, him being Indian is not super important to his character. But
it's also not like the best representation, the pedophile Indian.
It's not. It's also not a sensitive representation, like you said. But when is it ever a good idea to take a character of color and make them white?
The Ring movie.
Okay, sure. I guess if you get Malcolm McDowell to play them,
I think Malcolm McDowell gets a pass.
So they also make him a scientist instead of an assassin.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they wanted to combine like 6 or 7 different dudes. They're like, we want Cap to have survived, but we also want Rainbird to have survived, or Hockstetter. Let's just make them the same guy.
And that's the other thing, is he's alive and not dead.
Yeah.
So all of these things on paper sound bad. I think this character actually kind of worked for me. Part of the reason why it worked is 2 things. They got to revive some elements from the book that weren't super prevalent in the original movie.
This creepy sexual way he talks about it, Charlie.
That is one. And the other is his relationship with kids.
Have you tickled her back until she's fallen asleep?
He was sniffing her clothes. So, as good as George C. Scott was in the original movie, this, to me, is a lot closer to Rainbird in the book because he's more of a creep.
Let that be a lesson to you. If you want someone to play your pedophilic character, get a white guy.
Yep. No men do pedophilia like white men.
Yeah, just ask the Spartans. He's speechless.
Well, you were complaining in the movie episode because they took out all the creepy pedophile stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's back. What do you think?
Oh, no, I was there for it.
Yeah.
I was like, honestly, when you're writing a movie or a book or something, and your themes are like coming of age and puberty and hormones, it almost insists upon itself to have a creepy character.
It insists upon itself.
Yeah. It almost begs for there to be at least one creepy character. And if he's not the main villain, he's some side dude who makes a girl uncomfortable or something. There's a shit ton of characters like that in it.
Yes. All of them.
And it's not to say that, kids deserve any of that, of course. It's that
No.
when you're writing these sorts of situations, it sort of attracts those sorts of characters. And when you take it out, it almost feels like there's something missing. There's this sort of creepy element that people have to deal with growing up that has been removed.
They even include the line where he says, "I want to know her."
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody there to call him on it, like in the book. But
I honestly think that if Stephen King were to either write this book again or to have written it as Bachman, Rainbird would have just been a pedophile.
Yeah.
That I stand by that statement, because he was basically just written as one, but there's a couple lines thrown in there to go, no, he doesn't want to do that.
So I don't want to jump the gun too much here, but I feel like it's appropriate to talk about it with Rainbird. I think the ending of this miniseries is kind of ballsy for a few different reasons. But one of them is essentially the villain gets everything he wants.
He gets everything that he wants. I want to see God, Charlie. Make me see God.
She even fucking kisses him.
Yes.
Which, all right, we'll talk a little bit more about the ending when we get through. Just a couple more characters. This again is a very small, like, intimate cast. There are some characters, but not most of them aren't worth talking about. So James Richardson, played by Dennis Hopper of Westerns fame, he plays another test subject from the Lot 6 experiments. They basically turn him into Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Where he can see all of time
at once. And I did this thing. Why did you do this thing? Because I was supposed to do this thing. I always do this thing.
It's what I do. Yeah.
Are you going to? Am I going to go save him? You're going to try.
He's going to die. But you
still go do it.
You still do it. Yeah. These kinds of characters usually piss me off, and I feel like maybe it's because I'm too dumb to understand.
You don't understand the intelligence of the Alan Moores.
That's the thing. Like, I like Watchmen, but Dr. Manhattan just pisses me off.
Have you read Doomsday Clock yet?
No, but I want to.
I'll lend it to you because they kind of subvert that. Like, the whole point is, I'm going to subvert the way Dr. Manhattan sees the universe. A lot of people don't like it. I think it was the last good thing that DC Comics wrote.
Doomsday Clock?
Yes.
I've got the new Batman Black Label, but I haven't read it yet. Batman, One Dark Night.
Do we get to see his ass in this one?
You get to see his cock in the original.
Yeah.
And now
have you seen what that sells for now?
Yeah. Yeah. I was still working at a comic book store when that came out. I'm so mad that I didn't get one.
Yeah.
But I've liked I don't read a lot of current Batman comics, but all the ones I've liked have been Black Label.
Tom King ruined Batman for me. I can't read the main stuff anymore. I don't know who's writing them now.
Well, what kind of got me off of like the main line of Batman comics was Batman White Knight.
Yeah, I'm talking mostly mainline comics like Black Label, Elseworld stories. I still think those are good. Mm-hmm. That's a whole separate discussion. That can be another bonus episode, I guess.
Well, no, I think this is relevant to Firestarter 2 because...
Because of all the superheroes?
Yeah. Just real quick, have you read Batman White Knight?
I haven't read White Knight.
Okay, so the premise of it is that the Joker reforms.
Yeah, becomes a good guy.
He runs for mayor, and he tries to turn Gotham against Batman.
Yeah.
And
It's the rich billionaire that's the problem.
I was for it until the final issue. I'm not going to spoil it because I think you may read it eventually. I was livid. I've never been madder. Like, the Jim Gordon thing doesn't even touch this.
Wow. Because you were pretty mad about that.
I was very mad about that.
I stopped reading comics because they aged up Jonathan Kent. And...
Oh, baby.
And for about 5 years, a huge portion of the fan base was just like, just make him 10 again. Just make him 10 again. And what they do instead is put him in college and give him a boyfriend. And I don't even care that he has a boyfriend. I literally have a shirt that has him and Damian Wayne on it, encircled in a heart that I wear to the gay club all the time. My problem is that is a huge signal that you're never going to get the Jonathan Kent you liked reading again. You could have written a young bisexual character. I would have been fine with it. But now I have to deal with 17-year-old John looking at his dad and saying, "You didn't do enough for the planet."
Yeah, because Clark has never done anything.
Yeah. That's my tangent.
No, and that's a good segue into some young boys with superpowers.
Yeah.
Our last character we want to talk about, and
The boys.
I don't want to talk about them all individually, just in a group, because I mean, some of them have their own little character traits, but just generally, what did you think about the kids?
I wasn't expecting it.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting a group of people to attack Charlie using superpowers. Mm-hmm. And I will say that, okay, you want to capture Charlie, that's probably what you have to do.
Well, that's the thing, is like, in all of these different Firestarter stories, they keep going after Charlie with dudes in suits with guns. And I'm like, it's not gonna fucking work. Stop it.
And especially when you get like her internal monologue in the book and she's looking up at this guy going, you know, one day I'm going to be able to fuck with the sun.
Yeah.
That, like, I don't know if people understand like how cosmic that actually is.
Yeah.
You're not going to get her with guns and tranq darts again. It's not going to work now.
Nope.
So
especially not that she's an adult and she walks around with a hiking backpack full of fire extinguishers.
And you might say that this idea is a little campy, or it might come across as a little silly, but if you're sitting there and you're thinking about it, this is literally what you would have to do to try to get Charlie.
I think that the premise of this miniseries is very good.
It's a lot of the execution, the budget.
And most of that is, I think it needed a better script and more money.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to enjoy in it. And then, of course, there's
a lot to not enjoy.
Yeah,
Dr.
exactly.
Manhattan.
Yeah. Like, I think we could have done without that character entirely, to be completely honest. But that's whatever. Okay, so moving on to scary shit.
Scary shit. Scary shit. It is time to talk about scary shit. What shit was scary? What shit was not? It is time to talk about scary shit.
Not scary at all.
No, not scary at all.
I think the closest thing to scary was seeing the woman get asphyxiated by a plastic bag.
Yeah. I wrote a short story in high school where that happened to a woman because my teacher was afraid of being suffocated by plastic bags. And I thought it was really...
Okay.
So my teacher wrote on that paper, you're either going to grow up to be the next Stephen King or a serial killer.
And we've yet to see which.
Yeah. They haven't found the bodies yet.
Right. So far, you've been a lot closer to the latter than the former. No offense.
That's true.
Some of the kids were bordering on creepy, but not like really scary.
Yeah. I don't know. I would have punched a lot of them in the face.
Well, I think that they didn't take the time to really find like quality kid actors.
And I'll be honest, I don't think there's a lot of them.
And also, like, a lot of these characters had like 2-3 lines.
There's a couple. Their best lines are when they're interacting with Rainbird.
Yeah.
Tell us a story about Charlie while I sit on your lap, Rainbird. Snug and close.
So, for the Sci-Fi Channel, like, how much motivation is there to spend a lot of time finding a great cast of kids when they have, like, a small role? Some of them have very few lines.
I mean, they found a girl who could act like she was super horny really well.
Yeah.
Maybe she really was. Maybe this part just did it for her.
I mean, the two guys were not bad looking, so, yeah.
I still would have preferred Jim.
Sure. Maybe after this we'll watch Saving Silverman, so you can get your
Jim quota.
Get your Jim quota.
Where were we?
Talking about the scary things in this miniseries.
They don't exist.
There's, even like the fires were not.
They didn't look good.
The effects were bad, but I also wouldn't expect it to have good effects.
I still maintain that if you can't do something that's super visually driven, then you probably shouldn't try.
And if you're doing a story about a pyrokinetic woman, you should be able to do good fires.
Like with the budget that they probably spent on this, which we don't know, they might have been able to make like a decent exploitation, let's get people murdered in a cabin movie.
Yeah. I felt like the guys on fire in the original movie looked way better.
It did.
And I don't feel like that's like a budget thing. Because you just need the suits.
Well, you have to pay people that can be set on fire, because not every stuntman has been trained to do it.
But aren't they underpaid?
They are underpaid, but you still have to. But if you can choose between that and CGI fire,
I guess you probably also have to pay for a certain amount of insurance.
you got to get the insurance. There's always risk involved when there's fire because you might burn down sets.
And this was also that time in
The early aughts.
where they were just overusing CGI, like
Because look how amazing this technology
because
is.
Phantom Menace had come out 3 years before, and Fellowship of the Ring was about to come out.
And everyone thought they could do it.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that CGI also takes a lot of time and money to look good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I know you haven't seen the newer Salem's Lot miniseries yet.
I can't wait.
It's similar to this, where the special effects are just that special kind of bad.
Okay.
But that one I think is a lot stronger. It has a lot better script.
It might also be more endearing.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It also succeeds in some ways that the original Salem's Lot miniseries doesn't, but we'll save that because we're going to be doing Salem's Lot here in a few months.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kiss Me Fat Boy.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Damn, Charlie is so horny.
She is so freaking horny.
I thought it was legitimately cool where her and Vincent are fucking in the hotel room, and she gets up and she's, I gotta go, and she runs out, and he like gets up and he flips on the lights, and then the room is like torched.
I would have still kept going. I would have been like, you can control it, Charlie. You can.
Well, he didn't know what. It was a great parallel because you have the two different sex scenes: the guy in the alley and then Vincent in the hotel room.
Yeah.
She tries to stop at the first guy, and he starts yelling at her, screaming at her, calling her bitch, blah blah blah. And Vincent, he's like, "Well, we can stop if you want to. Did I do something wrong? Please don't leave. Let's talk about this." You know, showing the parallels there. This guy's a dick, and this guy's not a dick.
You can't just get me all worked up, bitch.
I'm not gonna say I wouldn't have also been upset.
I mean, I'd be frustrated, but I probably would have chosen better words.
I would not have called her a bitch. I would have been like, "Wow, I can't believe I got as far as I did."
Do you think she could melt the condom?
Yes. She set a dumpster on fire. I'm pretty sure she can melt the condom.
What if it was a magnum?
Did they go far enough with Rainbird for you in this one, or no?
I think that this is actually, like, you don't want to make the character an actual pedophile, or you don't want to actually have him sexually assault somebody on screen or in the book. This is what you do, and that's...
Like I said, I think the retcon of Rainbird from the movie, it kind of works and is a little more true to the book's character.
And Malcolm was willing to do all of that. He's like, yeah, I'll sniff her clothes, I'll kiss her. Fuck it, look how hot she is.
I bet she looked very beautiful wearing this.
Did you tickle her black?
Until she falls asleep. Oh my god, he's
Have
such
you-
a fucking creep.
Have you fucked her?
I think maybe my favorite scene was where the FBI agents come to interview him, and they say, where's the other guy? Where's James? He's like, oh, okay, I'll bring you to him. And he brings him to the dead body in the freezer. There he is. He's in there chilling.
I fucking love that guy.
Yeah, it was great.
Oh my god, are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
I am.
They should have just made a Rainbird movie.
Okay, so King and Koontz. What was your king? What was your Koontz?
My king was Malcolm McDowell. Every scene that he's in, I liked. My Koontz. The bad CGI and not murdering the kid at the end.
Yeah, I thought he died. It looked like she killed him.
They just sitting there screaming, wailing like a child who has his testicles in a vice grip.
My king is, I wanted to say DC Comics flirting.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That'll be our collective king.
That'll be our collective king.
I think the ballsy ending, like choosing to kill Vincent instead of like letting them run off into the sunset together.
Well, because he dies, he told her.
Yeah, he told her he's gonna die. And then you get to have that kind of touching scene in the hospital at the end, like your son helped me trust people again. That was nice. And then also like they let Rainbird just like have everything he wanted there at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he dies and Charlie gets to live, but that's what he wanted.
What's that Thanos quote?
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
Yes. And then for Koontz, I think I'm also going to say the effects, that the practical effects were my king for the 1984 movie.
Mm-hmm.
So even with the issues that this one had with the script, I think if it had practical effects, then I would have been a lot more forgiving of those other things.
Yeah.
Granted, of course, budget, CGI is cheaper versus practical effects, but still.
Yeah.
You could do better, Sci-Fi Channel, and I know you have done better.
I've seen Sharknado. I know you have it in you.
I've seen Trimmers, the TV series. I know you've done better.
I've seen Sharktopus. A lot of these are sharks.
Okay. So for rankings, I think I'm going first. Yes, I am going first. Okay, so I'm just going to start from the bottom. Is it better than Phantoms? Yes, I think it's better than Phantoms. Is it better than Batman Gotham by Gaslight? Probably no, but this did not piss me off as much as Gotham by Gaslight did. So I'm going to put it higher. I'm going to put it higher than X. I think I'm even going to put it higher than The Stand 1994. And I think I'm going to put it higher than The Stand 2020, but I didn't like it as much as the Mist TV series. So my list is going to be The Mist film, Firestarter film, Mist TV series, Firestarter 2, Stand 2020, Stand 1994, X, Gotham by Gaslight movie, and then Phantoms. E2.
It's better than Phantoms. There's a lot of dumb shit in the Stand 2020, but there's also a lot of good stuff in it. Like, I really liked Harold.
Yeah,
and its cinematography was good. It looked good.
The best parts of The Stand are way better than anything in Firestarter 2, but nothing made me mad
yeah.
in Firestarter 2 like the Stand miniseries did.
You know what? I'm going to put it right below The Mist 2017 because it has Malcolm McDowell and he made me laugh.
Oakley dokley. So yours is Mist film, Firestarter film, X, Gotham by Gaslight film, Mist TV series, Firestarter 2, Stand 1994, Stand 2020, Phantoms.
Yes,
just kind of looking ahead even to like our unpublished schedule, it's going to be a minute before we see anything worse than Phantoms. And I know I'm not telling the audience what this is, but I think I even like this more than Phantoms.
Yeah.
It may not be till next year that we find.
I mean, maybe the Uzumaki anime is just going to be real trash.
It's got to be real bad to be worse than Phantoms. I don't know. All right, we'll see. All right, so coming up on the Horror of Babylon, last week we started It. You got our first episode on Book 1 in the first interlude. Next week we're coming back Sunday, May the 15th with It Book 2 in the second interlude. The following week, on Sunday, May 22nd, we're going to be finishing up our Firestarter coverage with an episode on the new movie. It comes out that Friday. We'll see it on Friday. I'll edit the episode on Saturday and we'll release it on Sunday, and then that'll be our last episode on Firestarter. The following week, May 29th, we are going to be covering It, Book 3 and the third interlude. First week of June, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our June coverage. We are going to be doing an episode on Woe, which is an Indian television series from 1998 that's an adaptation of Stephen King's It. It's about 50 episodes long. We are not going to cover the whole show.
There's no way.
We're going to watch the first couple and then just compare it to the earlier part of the book. Since at this point, we will only have covered 3/5 of the book, we're just going to compare the first few episodes to the book.
That might be worse than Phantoms.
Yeah, it might be. We've watched a little bit of it.
I do like the drum.
Yeah. But, yeah, and this is, I promise you, it's not going to be a situation like The Mist, where we're going to watch one episode and not do the rest. I promise you, we are not going to cover all 50 episodes.
There's no way. I have too much other shit I enjoy.
Yes. Then June 12th, It, Book 4 and the fourth interlude. Then June 19th, we are going to watch a documentary from 2021 called Pennywise, the Story of It. It is a making of documentary of the 1990 miniseries.
Ooh.
That's gonna be kind of our lead up until our next episode. Our next adaptation episode will be the actual miniseries, so that's gonna be a hype episode. Then June 26th, last week of June, we are covering the last part of the book, Book 5 and the fifth, or not the fifth interlude, but the epilogue.
Yeah.
So that will finally finish up the book. Then the first week of July, we're going to cover It 1990, the 2-part miniseries, which we are both huge fans of.
We're going to piss some people off with our hot takes.
Yes. Of course, we will also be covering the 2 It movies. I'm not going to go any farther on our schedule than that. We'll release the full schedule soon. But in July, we will be doing an episode on each of the 2 movies. Primarily because we're going to be pretty positive in one and pretty negative in the other. And I wanted to keep them separate. Yep. But, that's what we got coming up on the Horror of Babylon. Please reach out to us on our socials. If you have suggestions on books and movies to cover, if you just have questions or comments, we definitely want to hear from you. And for our question for the audience this week, and this is also our homework, because we skipped homework.
We did skip homework.
Yes. Okay, so our homework was, if Charlie took all the kids and formed a superhero team, what would their team name be? What superhero names, costumes, just anything? What?
Okay, the superhero team would be Charlie and the Firecrackers. She would be wearing something right out of a Clive Barker film, something BDSM-y, because I am a degenerate. In my version, Rainbird is still alive and he is their Xavier. He is dressed as a priest and all the boys are altar boys.
Is it inappropriate to call Xavier the X-Men's guy in the chair?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
You're welcome to follow that up.
Sure. So, my version, mine's not as good. But they drive around in a fire truck.
That's good.
And Charlie wears a nun outfit, and all of the kids wear little firefighter costumes. They have the helmets, they've got the big jackets, they carry axes, and if you've ever seen Fire Force, the anime, it's basically that. That's what I want.
You want Fire Force?
I want Fire Force, but Charlie's the nun.
Okay, I still need to watch Fire Force.
You do, because you're gonna flippin' love it. Hot take: it's better than My Hero, and I don't think that's a hot take. I think it's just true. But,
I mean, I also think My Dress Up Darling is better than My Hero Academia. So
I haven't seen that, so
it's very good.
And then our question for the listeners are, what would your recommendations be to Charlie to take the edge off? Does she need a cold shower? Does she need to go for a walk, listening to some calming music? Like, how do you unhorny yourself? And I'm not sure masturbation is is an option for her.
She should just practice edging.
See, I think the issue is she can't get herself fired up. So what do? You go for a walk? Like, go for a swim in the cold ocean?
I don't know. The list of things that turn me off is actually pretty small.
Okay, so reach out to us on social media and give us your recommendations on how Charlie can settle down. More than a cold shower, because it's going to take more than that. Thank you very much for recording with me tonight, Daniel.
Stay scary.
Ralph! Ralph! You've done grand, laddie. Now you know what you have to do. Burn the house down. Burn them all!
Well, that was horrendous. I would tell you boys good job, but the dryness of my sarcasm would likely evaporate all the moisture in both your bodies. Anyway, if you want to hear more of this, please subscribe to their YouTube channel by searching for The Horror of Babylon. You can follow them on Twitter at HorrorPod69. The Facebook page is under The Horror of Babylon. And on Instagram these fools are The Horror of Babylon, one word. Reach their assuredly empty inbox at thehorrorofbabylonpodcast@gmail.com. You can also request their Discord server link via any other channel. And finally, if you are foolish enough to support this abomination financially, search for The Horror of Babylon on patreon.com. And God save your soul if you do.